Hello and welcome to another video in the Fundamental Analysis series. In this video, we're going to dissect the P&L statement. Did I say dissect? That's probably what happens when you study biology in secondary school. Anyways, in the previous video, we learned the basic structure of an annual report and the information contained within each section. In the upcoming videos, including this one, we'll focus on the consolidated financial statement. This can be further broken down into the balance sheet, the P&L statement, and the cash flow statement. So far, we know that the P&L statement tells us about how much money a company made, how it spent, and how well it performed, all in the form of numbers through its revenue, expenses, and profits. But wait, why do we need the P&L statement? See, as a fundamental analyst, our main job is to understand a company's long-term growth potential. A P&L statement tells us about, number one, all the ways a company is generating its income. Is it dependent on a single sector, or does it have a diversified earning portfolio so that even if one sector goes down, the company can withstand the hit? Number two, all the ways this earned money is being spent. Like, is it being spent wisely? Is it getting reinvested in the company's growth, or is it being spent carelessly? Number three, and most importantly, after all these spendings, how much money is the company actually able to save? The purpose of asking all these questions is to understand the money management skills of a company, because ultimately, this is what will make or break the company. Talking about the layout of the P&L statement, it contains the revenue, followed by the expenses, profits, OCI, and the EPS. At the top of the P&L statement, we can see the revenue section. Now, if we look here in case of Bajaj Auto, we can see that we have the revenue from contracts with customers, which is of 43,782, almost 8,000 times more than the one from 2023. Now, this can mean that people are buying the company's products. Hence, the company is able to increase their market share in their respective industries, which is automobile in this case. Next, we have the other operating revenue, which is the income generated from the company's business, but not directly by selling their products. It can include their income from after sales or maintenance charges of the vehicles, earning from royalties, or from leasing out their properties or equipments. Other operating revenue for Bajaj Auto is 1,088, which is slightly higher from 2023 from the previous year, but still, it's a good sign. Now, this other operating revenue added to this revenue from contracts with customers gives us the total revenue from operations as 44,870, which is great as compared to the previous year. Now, next we have other income. Other income includes money earned from things that aren't directly related to their business. It could be interest earned on investments, gains from selling their properties, or some kind of bonus or a one-time income which doesn't necessarily happen every single year. Other income in case of Bajaj Auto is 1,436, which if you add all of them together, you get the total income as 46,306, which is again higher as compared to the previous year, indicating a good growth potential. Now let's talk about the expenses. Naturally, to generate a revenue, every business must incur some form of expenses. It can be through the cost of raw materials, employee salary, or advertising costs. Even if you look in case of Bajaj Auto, we can see there is cost of raw materials, purchase of traded goods, again, employee benefits, which will include the salary and the additional benefits given to employees. Then there is finance cost. Then there is depreciation and amortization. Depreciation is the gradual loss of value of an asset over time, like a car or a machine. And amortization is similar to depreciation, but it applies to the assets you cannot touch. It can be patents or trademarks. Then we have other expenses. Other expenses can include marketing, distribution, and administrative costs. And if you add all of these expenses together, you get the total expense of 36,534, which is higher than the previous year. Now, expenses being higher is not a good thing, but because the income was also higher, a higher expense is considered normal. In fact, it is a good sign for a growing business, but within a limit. Profit before tax, or PBT, is how much money Bajaj Auto made before paying the tax. Here we have 10,040, the profit before tax. Then if we include the tax expenses, we get the profit after tax, which is obviously the profit made after paying the taxes, which is of 7,708 in case of Bajaj Auto. And overall, both of these included, we get 7,708 as a total profit for the year. Now, this means that Bajaj Auto's profitability increased by over 1,000 crore. Hence, 2024 was a good year for the company. Next, we have the OCI or other comprehensive income, which sounds fancy, but it just refers to the profits and losses which didn't show up in the profit numbers. Now, this can include change in the value of investment due to change in the stock price or currency exchange adjustments for international operations, because different countries have different currency values and they keep on changing. But let's not get too deep into it. All you need to understand for now is that the OCI or other comprehensive income gets added to the profit of the year, this one, and we get the total comprehensive income for the year as 8,412. Lastly, we have the EPS or the earnings per share, which tells us how much profit the company made for each share of its stock. To understand this better, let's search for Bajaj Autos' current stock price, which is around 8,324. Now, if we see the EPS here, basic and diluted earnings per share, it is around 272.7. Now, this means that for every 8,324 rupees you spend on one share of Bajaj Auto, the company makes 272 in profit, which was made last year. So, now what you can understand from this is that if the company decides to pay a dividend, it will be a portion from this 272.7. Congratulations! Now you know how to read the P&L statement of a company. I hope it was easy and simple enough, and if you have any doubts, make sure to drop them in the comment section below. In the next video, we'll learn how to read the balance sheet of a company. And to not miss out on that update, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. And I'll see you guys next time.
Investments in securities markets are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.